Hi, everyone. Welcome. Everyone can hear me? Yes, somebody give me a thumbs up. Okay. Just wanted to welcome you all briefly to our very first Sunday sessions. While we're just doing a couple of housekeeping things, if everyone could let us know your name and where you are and why you're here, that would be great. My name's Camus Davis. I'm the executive director of the Good Meat Project. We're a nonprofit with the mission to build pathways toward responsible meat production and consumption. And this Sunday Sessions project is a part of one of our programs called Good Meat Breakdown, which is a resource that we've built to be kind of a jumping off point for consumers who are looking for good meat. And we see good meat as a constellation of practices. And it's also meant to be a support system for direct to consumer producers like you, as well as good meat butchers and chefs and other folks who are trying to sell good meat. So this is a part of that project, and we're so happy that you all came to join us today. I'm going to pass it off to James quickly so he can just do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we'll move into the meat of the matter, so to speak. Thank you.
Okay, hey everyone. Thanks, Camus. So just a quick overview of what we'll do today. Thank you all for joining. So I'm going to kick it over shortly to our facilitators who will introduce themselves, and we're going to hear from our guest, Paige Jackson, for a little bit. Paige is going to give some background on her and her farm and sort of her relationship to e-commerce, how she got started. And we'll have a conversation between Paige and our two facilitators. And then as people think of questions, you can just feel free to put them in the Zoom chat. If you would rather speak it, I guess you can say in the chat, I'd rather say my question, and we can call on you at a certain point. But just the better we can do at just sort of coming up with questions, putting them in the chat, it'll make it a better conversation for everybody. So let me just take myself off here. I'm going to kick it over to Alex and Megan. And Alex, if you want to introduce yourself first, that would be great.
Sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Alex Miller. I'm part of the Lick Skillet Farm operation. We're located at the base of the Smoky Mountains in East Tennessee. And we are a family farm, been around for a little over 100 years. We raise pastured proteins, that's beef, pork, poultry, and sheep, and sell direct to the consumers with a heavy emphasis on animal welfare and soil health and all things related to the environment. Really looking forward to this series of conversations, and delighted that you could be here for this first session. Megan?
Hey, you forgot to mention your town job. You promised you were going to do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I have a town job. So I'm a business school professor at the University of Tennessee. That's paid a lot of bills over the years. So that's got to mention that, I guess. Thanks, Megan.
You bet. That's what I'm here for. I got your back. I'm Megan Lannon. I'm from Livingston, Montana. My husband and I own and operate Barney Creek Livestock in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. First and foremost, we regenerate land in this ecosystem, and then a byproduct of that is grass-fed, grass-finished protein. We work really hard at doing that. My town job, I work with Nicole Masters. She's a soil agroecologist from New Zealand. I'm helping her develop soil coaches and regenerative agriculture curriculum. So that's what I do for town job. I just wanted to mention really quick, like why Alex and I are doing these Sunday sessions. We have chewed the fat over many months about how to market all the hard work that we do to produce just really good meat. And so we had the good fortune to bump into Camus and James, and then we came up with this idea. And so Paige is our first producer that we just couldn't wait to get our hands on. And she's her and her husband have created Grazed Farm. And Paige, can you tell us more about like what you guys are doing and how awesome you are?
So my name is Paige Jackson. My husband and I run a regenerative farm in North Carolina. We're right outside of Durham. So yeah, we have an interesting story because we are not first generational farmers. We literally started with raising chickens in our backyard, and it then decided to then go full-fledged into a farm business in the middle of COVID. So, so that's a little bit about us. We raise pastured poultry, as well as pastured pork and grass-fed beef, and we also do a little bit of dairy as well. So that's us. Oh, and we have 5 kids. So I blurred my background, so my kids are still up. So hopefully you guys don't see little people popping in here.
And we're totally okay with that. I love that chickens were your gateway livestock into this whole journey. So why did you decide to do e-commerce, and then how did you implement that?
Yeah, so I do have an interesting, I guess, story into why, just what I know. So I was in basically I was a social media manager for years, and I also was a marketing coordinator. So that talent, I guess, or skill that I learned over the years paid off when it came to farming. So I knew that even from the shopping that we did in terms of being a consumer, that e-commerce was going to be a big deal, because one of the issues that we kept facing, and I'm speaking from, I guess, as the consumer side, was just being able to access farms and being able to see what they were doing and having a visual presence. And if I could just interject about e-commerce, I think sometimes e-commerce can sound really intimidating to a lot of people, but I mean, bare bones, it's having a visual as well as physical presence online. And so, we saw a lack of that just, for ourselves and our own community. And so when we started a farm business, I knew we've got to be on, we have to have an e-commerce platform. There's no way that we could do this and do this successfully without it.
So what's the balance in your emphasis in your marketing between your social media work, development of the website, and how much, what else involved in that, and how much of your time does it take from your farming operation to manage all that?
Well, so my husband and I are a team. And so I feel like it's kind of everything's 50-50, but I definitely manage more so this side of things, with e-commerce, basically all the things that take place inside of the home. And that just happens to be having a computer. But it's an ongoing thing because of the fact that we have to manage, inventory as well as orders. So I would say that it's definitely a daily, hey, Maddie, it's a daily thing that we have to work at, just because that's a part of having a connection with your customers. When you're online, it allows people to do things like chat, send you a message through your chat box, or so I would say as frequently as you're checking your email, that's as frequently as we're present within our e-commerce platform.
Yeah. So in your e-commerce, what are the different sales channels that you're serving, and are you serving any customers other than e-commerce customers?
Are we servicing any customers other than e-commerce? Yes, we are. Yeah. So we have a CSA, a local CSA. We also have a buying club, and we're going to start back doing farmers markets this season as well. So I would say that all of those points are still very connected with what we're doing online in the e-commerce realm, because and I also did consulting as well. So whenever I talk about your presence online, I like to really give this visual of your website being the mothership, right? And so you've got this mothership, and then you have these little babies that are little bitty babies, space babies, that are going out from the hub. So everything that we're doing online is, I would say, a result of other facets. So our social media adds to what is already being, or has already been established on our website. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense to people, that visual. So
it totally makes sense. And then, gosh, I just cannot understand or really wrap my head around like which e-commerce platform do you pick? Like,
Yeah. So there are many, and we've used a couple of them. So I mean, there's WooCommerce. We've used that. That's with WordPress. We've also used Grazed, which is really friendly for farms. And then there's Shopify. There's Square. I mean, there really are tons of them. And I would say when it comes to choosing the best platform, I think that you have to decide, one, how easy it is for you to use, because you have to be able to manage the back end well. And when I say the back end, I'm talking about like your like updating the words on the website, updating your banners when you have, a special or something that you want to inform your customers about. And then you also, want to like think about those things as far as, okay, well, how do I want to present myself online for customers to be able to find me, right? So if you do have a really active presence on social media and you want to be able to showcase that, you may want to think about using a platform that can integrate like a feed to showcase what you're doing on social media. But I would say for us, I think the customer relation aspect is super important with any website. So whichever platform you choose, being able to have a great like response with your customers is like important. So whether that's being able to update your information in real time, like at a farmer's market, having a point of sale that can connect to your website, as well as, all these different areas that you may be selling, and that's really important as well.
Okay, I'm gonna just make it real.
Okay.
When someone mentions shipping, my hands start to sweat, my armpits start sweating. I don't feel like I can do it. Can you talk a little bit about just about shipping? I can
talk about it. All right. So I'm assuming that most of the people that are on this call are farming in some capacity. And if you are farming, if you're doing livestock, that's, our boat. So if you're not doing a perishable product, I'm sorry, but I'm assuming that everyone on here is talking about that. So when it comes to shipping, I have a love-hate relationship with shipping. I'm going to be completely honest. I love it because it allows for more people to be able to access your product. And if you are producing a product that cannot be found in grocery stores, this is something that, you want to be able to share with the masses, right? But I hate it because shipping a perishable product can be a challenge. And there are a lot of hurdles that you have to overcome. So whether that is, infrastructure and inventory and all of those things, picking a carrier that, works well, those are things that, Megan, I think definitely can make anyone's palms very sweaty. So, so I would say that when you are considering, taking it to the next level and saying, okay, well, I want to be able to ship, thinking about e-commerce in that way, I think it's very innovative, and I feel like it's also very current. But I would encourage people not to put all your eggs in one basket necessarily. I think that it's good to, one, explore that option and see if it's a viable option for you in terms of like being able to afford to do it, and then also having a plan in terms of like structure. I hate to get super technical, but it's real, like an SOP. You need an SOP, because when it comes to shipping, and that's a standard operating procedure, because you have to think about the things that it takes, like dry ice, your packaging. So that's your cost of goods, and then also what it looks like on the day-to-day to handle that. So we do that. We do shipping, and right now we're only shipping within the Southeast. And that's because, when we were doing nationwide, it was just too much for us at this point in time. And that was because we were dealing with, carriers, and then the cost of goods and all those other things. So for a small farm, for a middle-sized farm, whatever you are, I think you just really need to weigh both sides of it.
So at one point you were shipping though nationally.
Yeah.
Okay. And you backed off that. Can you get any more detailed about what were the challenges? There's a part of me that says naively, is that, well, what does it care? What do you care what the address is? So
Yeah.
what was going on that made you go from national to, what problems in particular made you go from national to regional?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I took a course to learn about perishable shipping. I mean, there's a couple of courses if anyone's interested. Five Marys Farm has one, as well as Seven Sons, and it teaches you the ins and outs of everything you need to know about shipping. Fantastic. But the thing is, when you're doing it, you really have to weigh the cost, right? So if you're shipping a box of meat that's like 20 pounds, you also have to have dry ice, and you have to have a liner, you have to have the box, those costs add up. And then, not to mention, you're shipping a product that can be, I mean, someone can spend close to $500 on that product. And if for some reason that product gets lost, you're only going to get back like a small percentage with insurance. And because of things that were happening on where we are, it was becoming more of a challenge to be able to streamline and justify shipping all the way to California, for it maybe not to make it in time and without a guarantee for the next day shipping. And you also need to have a third party. So like, what is it? Like Pirate Ship and Perry Ship, like these are other companies that they will help you get down your cost for for shipping. If say like you're a small farm and you're like, well, I really do want to ship, but I don't have the volume that a larger farm has, how can I get a more comparable rate? Some of these third parties like Pirate Ship, they will help mediate the cost to kind of make it a little bit lower for you, but it's still a cost, and ultimately you're going to eat that cost. And so you have to really, that's why I'm just being very honest and giving you guys advice in terms of like, if this is something that you're going to look into and do it, you just need to be ready from an investment standpoint to have the capital ready, as well as the risks that may come with shipping.
Yeah. Hey, to all of our audience, we'll capture links and information about all these organizations and services that Paige is offering. We'll get those provided to you separately. We won't slow down now to take care of that. Megan, I don't want to hog time. You got one?
Yeah. So this is just an excellent question about when you choose a platform, the percentage of what's the percentage of sale, the percentage that they're taking from your sales to use that, and how do you pass that on to your customer? Do you eat that?
I mean, like specifically for shipping?
Yeah.
So you can factor that into the cost, like on the back end of the website. You can say like, okay, well, I have a flat rate of, $12 to ship within this radius. And you can absolutely charge. I mean, I would encourage everybody to put that into your cost, because otherwise you're going to lose all of it. And so it's not a really good idea. So you definitely want to make sure that you're adding that in and charging accordingly for it.
Okay, what about when you talked about all the different places that you're selling? Let's talk about the farmer's market and you're selling online. Yeah. Do you keep those prices the same?
No. So
okay.
Prices are different. Yeah. And I think that, sometimes, so for example, we've offered like market specials in terms of bundling, specifically for markets. And that really was just kind of like, that's just a strategy to kind of get more traction. Like if you can, advertise that and promote that and be like, oh, we're gonna have a market special. Because the thing about farmers markets is, in my opinion, I think farmers markets are for marketing. And so if that is the focus for your farmers market, then you want to figure out how you can capitalize, on that stage essentially. So personally, I think bundling is just brilliant in terms of marketing. If you can create any type of bundle offer just to kind of get more volume, like for your customers to buy, that's just smart. So we do some price differentiation. So for subscriptions, for example, if someone subscribes, they get a lower rate than someone who's purchasing a la carte. And again, with a subscription model, you are committing to us to be able to provide fruit to you for, you know, a year, 6 months, whatever it might be. And so you would get, you know, somewhat of a prorate for that.
Hey, speaking of subscriptions, do you have a subscription software application that you like, or are you still doing this with notes to yourself?
Yeah, no, we just started looking at different subscription programs. It's funny that you say this. There's one that I'm trying right now. I'm not ready to speak on it and say like this is a go for sure. But I would definitely advise anyone who is thinking about doing any type of subscription model to, one, you still need to have an Excel. I mean, I know people hate Excel, but Excel is still what you're going to need in order to manage any type of like buying club or CSA. It's just smart. But having some type of CRM, which is a customer management, customer relations management system, you know what I'm talking about. That is key, because one of the things that we've learned with managing any type of club or whatever it is, it's the communication part. So I would say you just got to be able to communicate with them on a regular basis. You have to be able to say, hey, you know, it's the first of the month, you know, like it's time for you to be billed, or however you want to do it. If you can communicate that effectively, that to me is king over any type of software. Like if you can just, even if it's an Excel document, being able to communicate with your customers and saying, this is what's happening for your order. And so for the subscription model, so we use Shopify, and there are different apps that you can use specifically to do like one that comes to mind is called Recharge. And with Recharge, you can use that app and it can like recharge people on a regular basis. But there are a lot of fees that come with that. And so I'm not going to say like, you really have to weigh the cost with a lot of these things that I'm advising or telling you guys about, because, you have to really look at the big picture. Like, is this worth it for me to be able to invest in this platform, to be able to use it? And am I really getting my bang for my buck? But communication over everything is important.
I'm waiting on Megan. I don't want to jump on your toes, Megan.
You know where I'm going. I got one. Can you take us back to the mothership, the website, and can you walk through the 3-click strategy?
Yeah. So, okay. So this is just, this is business advice I'm giving you guys. So when you have a website, you want to be able to captivate your customer, and so that your website is one, talking to them and telling them what they need to do. And they need to be able to check out within 3 clicks, meaning like they go to your website, they see what you're about, and they're done. Because if it's past the 3 clicks, chances are you've lost them. Now, I'm not saying that you don't want people to spend time on your website, and you don't want people to, to see you want people to spend time and view and browse. But when I say 3 clicks, you want for the process from start to finish to be very, very simple and very easy. So as in, you don't want to complicate it and make it hard for them to find the shop button. The shop button needs to be in bold caps, like shop right now, here it is, because that's what you want them to do. And, there's a lot of studies on this that kind of talk about like the average time that people spend on a website, but it's typically like a 1, 2, 3. And when you look at bigger models like Amazon, I mean, that's exactly what they're doing. They are using, the same strategy of like, when you come to the website, either you've typed in something, you found it, and you're checking out, done.
So where I get confused is, and I know you've told me and I forgot, but what website platform are you using?
I'm on Shopify.
Okay, that was right. So when you mean 3 clicks, let's say we've got, old schools, like you talk about yourself, you talk about your story. So they land on the story, they land on you. And then you put a big like shop here button within that narrative. Like, how do you then is it two
Well,
more?
Well,
Where's the
no, I
reason
mean, so you go, you're at my website. You
Yep.
may look at the about page,
Yep.
and then at the end of the about page, you may just scroll back up again to the home page, or go straight to checkout. What I mean by that is, like, either you're having these buttons that are called call to actions in very intentional spots for people to be able to find where to shop and where to, get what they need to get. So if I'm on your website and I'm typing in chicken, then if I go to the chicken page, then there should be a button. I think the beauty of the button, you need to have that button that's like checkout. Here it is. Easy way for me to be able to have payment. And I'm gonna put a plug for Square too, because I've used Square. Square is so easy and super foolproof. Like, as in, you go in there and it's not like I'm searching for the button to check out. I'm searching for the ways to do my payment options. It's very clean. It's very simple. I know that there are some website platforms where, like, I've gone on there before and I'm like, I don't even know. I want to check out. I want to give you my money, but I don't even know where the button is. And
Yeah.
like, that can be very confusing. So I would just recommend, like, going on your website as a customer. Like, okay, if I'm on your website and I'm typing this in, how easy is it for me to find the items that I want to find? Are you featuring certain items that you are, like, you have a special on? That needs to be front and center. And that needs to be something that's like, you're taking out the legwork or the guesswork, really, for people that are coming to your website, especially. So, I mean, this is a good example. Say you have a freezer of ground beef that you need to move, right? And you're like, okay, well, I really want people to buy this ground beef. How do I get them to see it? That needs to be a banner on the page with a clickable, like, you click on this banner, it's taking you straight to this page. Bundles, you know what I'm saying? Package that, you get bacon with the beef, something that's going to make it super appealing and easy for the consumer to be able to find it and get it and go.
Okay.
I want to go to the other end of the whole shopping and buying experience. So you've got great product, you've got a great website. How do you get customers to know that your website's out there? What's the mix of search engine optimization and social media you're using to drive people to your site?
Yeah, well, that's a really good question too. So there is a mix of SEO, and it's everywhere. And I think that this is something
just
new.
To make sure that we're all on the same page, can you briefly describe what SEO is, just so everybody will know?
So SEO is search engine optimization. And when we're talking about SEO, I'm gonna give you guys the nitty gritty on this, okay? Because I used to work for companies, big companies, who spent thousands and thousands of dollars a week on SEO, okay? When you are first starting out, you want and need for your website to crawl, okay? Meaning you need for your website to make, and I talk with my hands, so sorry that I'm like, you need for your website to make traction, just period. So one of the best things that you can do for your website to just get noticed is to share your website in as many places as you possibly can, and as many free places as you possibly can. If you're on the board for something, and it's in your your email signature, you need to share your website any and everywhere possible, okay? And what this is going to do is, this is going to help the internet to recognize your website as being a real thing. Like, you're actually getting visibility right now. I know that a lot of times farmers will just skip and say, well, I have a Facebook page, that's enough. Facebook is very valid, and you should have Facebook. Facebook is kind of like the Yellow Pages now, right? Everyone needs a Facebook business page. Now, make sure you hear what I just said, a Facebook business page. You don't just need a Facebook page, okay? Because there's a difference between a Facebook page and a Facebook business page. I don't have a lot of time to talk about that today, but just know that there's a difference. Anyway, so that is going to help you as well. But again, as many free places as you possibly can, because again, like I said, this is going to make your website have any type of visibility possible. So social media acts in a way of pinging and letting people know, of making sure that you're using those hashtags You're letting people know that you actually exist on the internet. Okay. But again, it's bringing people back to the mothership, which is your website. Now, this is a new thing that Instagram has done. It's now picking up SEO. So if you're writing captions on social media and you're using hashtags, now that's also being picked up in search engine optimizations. So it's not just enough for someone to say, well, I'm going to look up pasture raised chicken on social media, as they should. And you should be using hashtags because they are valid. And it is how people are finding you. Trust me in this. People are finding you through social media. And more importantly, because I think a lot of people like to skip this, people are finding you through your blog, okay? They're finding you through your blog. They're finding you through the headers that you have written on your website. Copywriting is big. So again, all of these things are, in general, what the internet is recognizing in terms of SEO, right? So when someone is going to type in pasture raised chicken and they're like, well, where do I find pasture raised chicken? They're going to look up that, you know, how you search something and then it'll have that word in bold. If you can continue to create content that is focused on what you're doing and what you're producing, chances are it's going to help you with your SEO. So back to what I said before about SEO costing a lot of money. I do not recommend that you spend thousands and thousands of dollars on SEO. The reason why I don't recommend that is because a lot of these things you can do yourself. Now, if you are a huge producer and you're at that point where you need to be spending that type of money, then go for it. But SEO is a long game. Okay. So, and what I mean by that is people will pay for keywords and to be recognized by keywords, and they will spend hundreds and thousands of dollars just for Google to be able to recognize them. But again, you could get the same recognition if you just strategically write content on your, like, that's published on your website that will be showcased on your blog. And that also can give you the same visibility, if not more. That was a loaded question. I really talked a lot about that. Sorry.
So that's good. That's very good. I'm still not completely clear on when you say, like in your signature block, right? You're saying that in my signature block, I need to have a link to my website plugged in everywhere. Okay.
You should be putting your website in as many places as you possibly can, like wherever you can put it, wherever it makes sense. I mean, don't just like put it anywhere. Like, but you need to put your website as many places as you possibly can, because the more people can click on that website and visit that website, then again, the internet is going to now recognize your website as a place or as a position on the internet. I mean, hopefully I'm not using too many analogies, but that's going to make your website visible. I used to, like, my kids, the school that they used to go to was a really small little private school. And one of the things that the principal would ask everyone, he's like, hey, if you guys could just visit the school's website just like once or twice a week, that's really going to help us in our searches. And I was like, yes, like that that's brilliant. Like you just need people to help your website move. So the more that you can showcase your website in your email header, I mean, that's easy, so that's making it easy for you to be found.
Could you do that at a farmer's market? Like, hey, if you stop by my table and you look at my website, I'll give you a piece of jerky.
I mean, I don't think I would do that. I would be giving away product for that. But what I would do is I would have like a QR code or something super easy for people to be able to scan or save, or, that they could, again, that will help you get visibility. So yes, at the farmer's market, all of your marketing stuff should have your social media. It should have your website on there. I mean, you need to have that on there, because again, the more people that can get visibility on you and what you're doing on your site is going to be beneficial. Because again, when we're talking about e-commerce, it's really about visibility, right? The internet does so much more. And I'm not saying that word of mouth is bad. It's not. It's fantastic. But the internet opens up this like wide world that, anybody can find me, anyone.
Well, keep going with this, talking about marketing at the farmers market. You mentioned before that you see farmers market primarily as a marketing opportunity. So how are you using the farmers market to drive people to your e-commerce?
Well, I think that, like I said, maybe I'm controversial on this, but this is just my opinion.
We hope so.
And I mean, this is also the marketer in me, right? You know, I've seen a lot of farmers go to, and this is you too. I'm also not trying to shame anyone. Okay, I've seen a lot of farmers go to farmers markets, and they'll just be like, show up with like a cooler and a whiteboard, you know, and I get it. Sometimes it's like that, you know. Sometimes you just need to get there and just make it happen. But if the farmers market is used for marketing, then, you know, it would behoove you to have a nice display or, you know, a nice banner so that people will take that away and say, hey, I saw this farm at a farmer's market. They had an incredible display, but they were sold out. Like, they were sold out of all of their whole chickens. I got their card. I will not forget this farm. And I'm going to order from them, and I'm going to pre-order for the next time because I don't want to miss out on that chicken. You know, I think it's things like that that can make a very intentional impression on people. And again, if you have a presence on social media and your website is easy to navigate, then guess what? You just got a pre-sale, you know, or you just got a subscription. But it really takes you making an impression and marketing to the people at the market in order for that to happen.
I'm assuming you're close to Research Triangle Park. Is that correct? Yeah. It seems like many of us would kill to have that kind of market in our back door. So it's amazing to hear that even in that situation, you're still focusing on shipping and e-commerce rather than local sales, it sounds like.
Well, I really feel like it's a both and, you know, even if someone wants to come to the farmer's market, people still want something shipped to their door. And it's really just the ease and the convenience of having this, right? Most sales are taking place on your phone. I mean, and I'm guilty of that. Like, I need, I don't know, a potato filler. Like, what am I going to do? What are you going to do? You're going to look it up on your phone and you're going to click buttons, and that's where you're going to get it. So if we're missing out as farmers on opportunities if we don't have a presence online, period. I mean, I think that, like, that's really kind of the heart of the issue is if you are investing in your e-commerce to get more visibility, it can't do anything but help you because you're making it easier for the consumer to be able to find you. You're making it easier for the consumer to be able to purchase. You know, it's just, like I said, I think it's a both and.
Cool.
So when you first started doing this, did you do like the e-commerce plus picking up at the farm?
Yeah, we did.
Okay. And
yep,
so
we did. We definitely did.
So do you feel like picking up at the farm is a pretty good option if people aren't quite ready for e-commerce?
Oh yeah, I think farm pickup is great. I think that if I mean, this is for us personally, you know, we're trying to figure out more ways to get people out to the farm. Just because I believe in knowing your farmer, knowing your food, and having a relationship. And so I think that having people come out to the farm to be able to see what you're doing and how their food is raised, I highly encourage that. And I would never stop encouraging that. But again, like I said, the both and is once they've come out to the farm, sometimes they just still want it to be shipped to their door, you know. But again, it's having that relationship is still very important.
Can we get down in the weeds and some nitty gritty here for a little bit? So you're selling a lot of product in bundle, but not everything in bundles. Is that correct?
So we sell product in bundles, and yeah, we don't do everything in bundles. And the reason why is because of whether it's volume of that particular product, or really just a sales strategy to be able to move more product.
Okay.
I mean,
so when you're selling by the item, how are you dealing with variability in product in terms of at least for us, as we move from one processor to the next, we get a completely different SKU. We get and then so now we end up with, we've got, don't you want this giant pork chop as opposed to a normal as opposed to a small?
Don't you love when that happens?
Yeah. How are you doing with that? And then how are you reflecting that in your pricing? Have you got any words of wisdom to share in coping with that mess?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons why I really love Grace Cart, because you could adjust the price. You could adjust the pricing based on the weight. I really feel like that's that's just a tough situation that a lot of farmers deal with. I know we've dealt with that, where we've gone to one processor and then had to go to another. And like you said, you got a giant pork chop. So when that does happen, I've tried to offer education in terms of like, hey, and this is how you can cook this pork chop. Instead of cooking it the normal way, slice it up in cubes and make a stir fry, and really that goes, I feel like that goes hand in hand in trying to educate your consumer. Because sometimes it happens. And if I owned my own processing facility, then, we would have more control over that, but that's just not where we are right now. So I would say when that happens, you just really have to be able to educate your consumer, but still price your product adequately, because it's going to hurt you as the farmer if you don't.
Yeah. Now with Grace Cart, you can sell by the pound. Do you have that option on Shopify?
Well, it's there's some apps that you can use on the back end, and we've tried to use a couple of different apps on the back end of it, and sometimes it doesn't always work really well. So with the bundles, we typically try to price it at an average weight, and we just do an average weight of like, this is what we're doing on average, and it's easier to do that in a bundle opposed to doing like a single one.
Yeah. So with those single items, the sort of extremely small or extremely large on Shopify, what are you doing with those? If
the extremely small items
or the extremely large, either one of them. I mean,
oh well, so we still have a buying club, and for the buy, they can do whatever they want. Like they're not subjected to just doing bundle items.
Right.
So for them, they can shop a la carte if they like. And the reason why is because, I guess the more that we're in this, the more that we're kind of refining our processes and what we're doing. But with club membership, there's a structure to that. And I think that it's a lot easier for us to be able to say, well, this is an incentive of partnering and supporting our farm. You get access to certain things that people don't. And it's great. So those things are just kind of filled in on an inventory basis. Like, okay, like, hey, we've got trotters and you can get them, but not everyone can get trotters. It has to be someone who's a member.
Do you want to, Megan, I was going to ask a question about the Shoppers Club. Did you get your question in? You started to ask something.
No, go ahead. I was just going to say if anyone else wanted to jump in and just directly shoot a question to Paige, we could do that. Or
you monitor for hand, and I'm gonna get my question in then.
Okay, do it.
So while we're finding who else wants to ask a question, Paige, talk to me more about the Buyers Club or Shoppers Club. I forget exactly what you called it. How does it work? What's its role in your overall mix and those sorts of things?
Yeah, so the buying club model has been around for a long time. And basically that's just where people have to pay a fee to become a member. And that membership, lasts for a year. But having an agreement with that member allows us to be able to do more from a legal standpoint, as well as, just having the structure of our membership in the way that we have structured it. Like I said, we don't, like, the buying club members get access to other things opposed to just, one item. So for example, I'll use dairy for example. So in the state of North Carolina, it's illegal to sell dairy. But if you have a herd share agreement, you can own a part of a cow. And so with that contract agreement, you're essentially leasing a cow, and I can legally give you milk, I can legally make butter, I can legally make yogurt for you, whereas our cottage laws here in North Carolina would prohibit me from doing that. But with the sanction of the agreement, I'm able to do whatever I want.
I see. So do you have a sense of, or are you able to share a sense of the breakdown of the percentage of volume you're moving through all these various channels? You've got so many, I'm starting to lose track of what's big and what isn't, and what's growing and what's not. Can you talk about that, Annie?
So majority of our, I would say, volume is through our buying club as well as our CSA. That's bulk. And then farmers markets, I mean, they make up a pretty substantial amount, but it all depends on the market. Because if you're in a not so great market, you're not going to make a lot. So I don't really know what that's going to look like for this season because we're trying a new market this year. So I can't really answer that. And then with our e-commerce, I mean, we probably, I don't know how much of a percentage that makes of our sales, but I mean, what? No, Derek, what do you say?
Definitely, it was a majority of.
Sorry, Derek is saying that our e-commerce is majority of our sales combined for all. Sorry, so our e-commerce is just tracking with number one though for all of it.
Thanks, Derek.
Yeah.
Here's a question that I've actually gone back and forth on the website, because our website has our live animals because I want to show what a great place they have to live. But when you've got it on that click and they're going to buy the meat, do you have the live animal pictures? And
That's a
Amy,
good question.
this question, right?
Yeah.
Or do you put like, a black clip art type of deal? How are you?
That's a good question. Because I've dealt with this and just kind of really, I'm still figuring it out. Facebook. Okay, wait, let me make sure I word this correctly. PETA has stock in Facebook. And so because of that reason, they will not allow you to advertise certain food pictures, as in like raw meat. You cannot showcase raw meat. At least I've not, and for like an ad, okay?
Yeah.
Facebook will shut it down because I've tried and they will shut it down. Now, if you do a cooked product, that's fine. But if it's raw, they won't let you do it. And I literally get like notifications all the time, like this ad was denied, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, I'm really just trying to sell food. I don't know. I feel like this is an injustice to farmers, but it's a thing. But I think that you really just have to kind of make a judgment call on that. Because sometimes I think it is beneficial to showcase a picture of a chicken drum opposed to a chicken breast, just to make sure that people know what you're clicking on and what you're buying. But then, if you have the capability to maybe showcase a couple of photos, that can't hurt you either, because, you could have like a raw photo as well as like a final product. I think you just have to gauge and kind of figure out what works best for you. But I do think that consistency is good though. So if you decide to go with all cooked, then do all cooked. If you decide to do all raw, do all raw. And I'm calling the kettle black because I don't even know if that's the case on my website right now, because I will double check. But I think you really have to just gauge which one works best. But if you're trying to do ads, raw meat won't fly on Facebook ads. It won't.
Are you, I know you do a lot of video, but are you, your photos, are you using stock photos, or is everything original? Any experience there?
It's a mixture. So I just happen to know a lot of photographers, and I've been very grateful to have that as a in my back pocket. But stock photos are great, and you can, you can totally find high quality stock photos. So don't let that stop you. But if you want to do photos yourself, YouTube University all the way. Get yourself a good camera and some great lighting, and I don't know, a cutting board and some rosemary. You would be surprised what you can do with those things.
With rosemary, I like that.
And you'd save a lot of money doing it too.
Yeah, sure. Hey, I want to make clear to all the audience out there, we've Camus and James have been monitoring the chat and feeding us questions. But as we're starting to wind down, if you've got any burning questions, make sure that you get them into us, and we'll try to get them asked here in the last few minutes. Hey, I guess it's about time to start asking wrap-up questions. Let's start talking about. So here's a wrap-up question for you. If you're brand new in all this, and your idea of social media is, I've got email. What is it you what is it? What's the first thing that you're going to do that's going to make the biggest difference to the person who's a real neophyte? And then we'll ask a question about, okay, if you got a website, where do you see and you're fairly sophisticated, where do you think the best opportunities are for taking things to a new level? So one question for the beginners and one question for the advanced. What's
Okay.
your best
So
advice?
if you're first starting out, I say take time on your website. I mean, that's where people are going to land, and that's how people are going to find you. Even if they stumble across your Facebook page, they're still going to visit your website. So I say take time, do your website, do it well, and also take time to create content on your website, meaning your blog. People don't talk about blogs enough. And again, I mean, we need to do more on our blog as well, but our blog has been a big help for us, for people finding us. And really, again, like I said, the whole SEO, it's come from just writing and creating content. So if you can write, that will serve you in so many ways. And I say that because, you know, if you're writing blog posts that are, you know, maybe not everyone's reading your blog, but that blog post can also serve as your social media content. So if you're just starting out, your website is a good place to start. Writing is a great place to start. Use that content from your website, use that content that you've created on your blog, and now turn that into your social media, because your social media, it's great, but it's really just another vehicle to be able to tell your story. And, you know, you really have to hit home at the home base, which is your website.
Mm-hmm. So, okay, now for the fairly advanced practitioner who's had a website up for a few years and has some traffic, what's the biggest missed opportunity that you most commonly see?
For someone that has a website and they're on social
fairly
media,
successful, but they're just not sort of doing everything they can with it. What do you think is most likely to be their next big opportunity?
well, I guess, so you mean like they're just not seeing a lot of traction. They've done all the things, but they're just not, no one's finding them. Is that what you're asking me?
Well, I'm really just curious if there's something that you see that here's, even for the sophisticated folks, here's a commonly missed opportunity.
Well, I think that people underestimate the power of storytelling. Even if they've done, you know, all the things. I think that sometimes there can be a level of a lack of personality. Maybe that's the best way to put it. And I think that, you know, at this day and age, especially with social media, everyone feels like they should be your best friend, or, you know, or like, I should know what you eat for breakfast. Now, if you decide to share those, you know, details and every detail, that's your business. But I do think that could be a way that could really help your consumers really connect with you. And I would say maybe drive things home. And also I would highly recommend looking at your email. Like what are you doing for your email marketing? Because your email marketing, you know, people talk about a website, but the places that people buy the most are from emails. And remember I talked about with those links, right? Like having those buttons where people can easily access and say, oh wait, you're having a special. Let me, where can I buy? You better have that button and that call to action right front and center. So yeah, so I think showcasing your personality more, having clear and concise call to action, and consistent, like be consistent, like don't stop.
Oh, yeah, it's great. Thank you.
So Paige, if you have, okay, so you have like 1 minute or less to give me the most popular blog posts, which also ties into the storytelling, but what are you hitting with your most popular, what are your most popular blog posts?
Oh, we had one that was like talking about farming with kids. And that one was just like, a lot of people really loved it. But when you're doing your blog, you know, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. So I'm trying to keep this concise. You know, if you have like a list of words that you just really want to hone in on, right? Remember what I said about SEO and like using keywords. If you are, if you're a grass-fed, you know, beef producer, and you just really want to hone in on that piece, then I would recommend making a list of keywords that you want to be found. Like if someone wants to find you, what are the words that someone would type in to find you? Then make sure you're using the mess out of them in your blog posts. I mean, write 4 to 5 different blogs with those topics, with those words, because again, that's how people are going to find you. So I could say like, oh, this is a popular post, but really, even when I upload those posts, I'm still putting in keywords so people can find those posts, because I still want people to find us, like for what we're doing right now.
Great.
Okay, awesome.
Well,
James,
we're about out of time. We better hand this over to James.
Thanks, everybody. And thanks, Paige. Thanks, Alex, Megan. It's a great conversation. Hope everybody got something out of it. I'm going to do a couple very quick logistical wrap-ups, but before I do that, we went back and forth on what time to do this, because we got people on the East Coast, the West Coast, and we didn't really know if this was the best time. So if everybody could just really quick write in the chat if this was a great time, you can say yes for you, or if this was a bad time and you'd prefer us to switch it, say no and maybe throw a suggestion. So while I wrap up, if you could all do that, we'd really appreciate it as we schedule the next one. Speaking of that, so we're going to record all of these. They'll live on our Good Meat Breakdown website. I'm going to send this link to everyone here. So this link is going to be our sort of homepage for these, for you to register for new ones, see the recordings of old ones, etc. And to stay in the loop, there's an email, speaking of email marketing, there's a newsletter there if you could sign up and stay in touch with everybody. And again, we'll send out the recording of this, and as Alex mentioned, we'll try and send out links to everything Paige recommended as well, just so you can check them out, make your own opinion. And then we're still scheduling our next one. So if you guys have ideas of what you want to hear about, themes you want to hit, or producers you want to hear from, just email me. My email is right here. And thanks so much, especially to Paige. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Paige. Great contribution.
All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good rest of your night. Bye.